Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Renegade Immortal Part 176 based on novel. So let's start. I want your 18 plum restriction method. Wang Lin's voice was quiet, but the meaning was shocking. Wang Lin knew that the 18 plum restriction was very famous back in ancient times, but it was kept very secret. Outsiders could never learn it. And as for disciples, depending on their status, they could only learn up to 9 plum restriction. Only the master could learn up to the full 18 plum restriction. Today, this restriction method was long lost and many restriction masters felt that it was regrettable. The first time Wang Lin had heard of the 18 plum restriction was inside the cave in the demon spirit land. When he saw 18 restrictions appear the moment Li Yuan moved his hand, Wang Lin began to suspect it. What made him suspect even more was that when he received the jade with information on the hidden restriction, 18 statues appeared the moment he examined it. These 18 statues were very different from plum blossoms. At that time, Wang Lin was confused, but after pondering carefully, he saw through some clues. Although his voice was calm, he was only testing Li Yuan. If Li Yuan refused, then Wang Lin would no longer be interested. Whether Wang Lin wanted to attack or leave would only require a single thought from him. This was the main reason why Wang Lin had followed them the entire way. If it was only for the vague possibility of the origin tool, Wang Lin wouldn't have followed them until now. However, this Li Yuan was too mysterious. Wang Lin wasn't sure if this person was really only at the peak of the late stage of ascendant. This was why Wang Lin didn't act on the way here. Wang Lin only acted after they had arrived at the destination. Li Yuan pondered for a bit before smiling. Only the 18 plum restriction? If Brother Shu fancies it, then I'm happy to oblige. He slapped his bag and took out a piece of jade. The jade was placed between his eyebrows for a few moments before he threw it to Wang Lin. That is he 13 plum restriction. I'll naturally give you the remaining 5 after we enter the mountain. Wang Lin caught the jade and scanned it. Although his expression looked neutral, his heart began pounding. There were no chants inside, only 13 large statues and a total of 13 plum blossoms. From beginning to end, the woman named Ge remained silent, as if nothing was related to her. She silently looked at the mountain before her and was in a trance. Brother Shu, the 18 plum restriction is not the only restriction I know. Do you know of the 4 great restrictions? Li Yuan turned toward the mountain and started walking. It seemed like he wasn't afraid of Wang Lin leaving with the jade at all. After putting away the jade, Wang Lin's eyes were calm as he walked toward the peak. Rumors have it that when the world was born, the law of the world came to be. A long time ago, that law split into 9 parts, and one of them was a restriction. It was also called formation. Different names, but the same meaning. Heaven, earth, mystery, and yellow were the 4 grades of restrictions for a long time. Li Yuan didn't turn around as he casually walked toward the peak. The woman named Ge followed behind and was still in a trance. However, there is another grade above those 4, and we call it void grade. The void grade is split into the 4 great restrictions. This mountain has the annihilation restriction of the 4 void grade restrictions. No one has been able to reach the peak because this peak has no end. Li Yuan's voice slowly entered Wang Lin's ear. Brother Shu must be puzzled on why I know all of this. Li Yuan stepped over a protruding rock, then his right hand formed a seal and he pressed it down randomly in the void. This press caused the entire mountain to flash and shake violently. A rumble echoed across the mountain and the entire mountain shrank by half. Although one still couldn't see the peak, it was obvious that the peak was a lot lower. So, what if you embark on the path to the peak? Without a way to crack the restriction, one can search the entire mountain and not even see through the cloud. Li Yuan turned around and looked at Wang Lin with a smile that was not a smile. Brother Shu, do you have any questions? Wang Lin looked at Li Yuan and calmly said, "You're very noisy." Li Yuan frowned and immediately smiled before turning around and continuing. However, he stopped talking and his eyes were filled with nostalgia, as if every plant on the mountain was extremely familiar to him. When they reached the middle of the mountain, Li Yuan's right hand formed more complicated seals this time and he pressed it down on the void. The mountain rumbled again and shrank once more. Wang Lin's pupils shrank as he could vaguely see the peak. Just as Li Yuan was forming the seal, a voice faintly entered Wang Lin's ear. "Senior, save me. This person is crazy." This voice came from the woman named Ji, but before she finished speaking, Li Yuan coldly looked at her, causing her to stop. "Ji Hong, if you want to speak, just directly speak. There is no need to use divine sense." Li Yuan's eyes were cold and contained a hint of mockery. After entering the mountain, he was completely different from before. Ji Hong pondered a bit before clenching her teeth and taking a few steps back until she was next to Wang Lin. It was as if only by doing this would she feel safe. "I know who you are, but you didn't come to my family by accident. You have a purpose." Ji Hong didn't want to die. Even if she already had an answer in her heart, she wanted to fight for that chance at life. Li Yuan smiled and nodded. "That's correct." Ji Hong's face was pale and she snapped, "Why me? The person who took your master's thing was not me but the Ge ancestors." Li Yuan's eyes became cold and he smiled, "Because you are a direct descendant of that thief. In the entire Ge family, you are his only direct descendant." Ji Hong's eyes revealed fear as she took out her bag of holding and screamed, "I'll give you everything in here. There are the scroll, the iron sword, and the compass. Those are the only 3 things. I'll give you them all, so let me go. I'm begging you to let me go." Li Yuan accepted the bag of holding. His eyes were filled with a complex expression. Then he gently patted the bag and 3 things flew out. First was the iron sword, then a simple compass, and finally an ancient scroll. Li Yuan picked up the scroll and opened it up with a shake. As he stared at the painting inside, his eyes filled up with melancholy. The painting on the screen was a mountain. This mountain was very tall with most of it in the clouds. At the base of the mountain there was a flying sword heading toward the sky. There was a man standing on the hilt. This person was only a blurry shadow. There was also a figure standing on the tip of the sword. The back of this person was very similar to Li Yuan's. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. He looked at Li Yuan and had a speculation in his heart. This painting was obviously from before the celestial realm collapsed. If that was the case, could this Li Yuan be a celestial? Wang Lin sucked in a breath of cold air, but he also felt like this wasn't true. Li Yuan let out a sigh as he put away the scroll. Then he put away the sword and compass as well before looking at Ji Hong and calmly saying, "Let's go." He turned around and walked toward the top of the mountain. Ji Hong's face was pale and she clenched her teeth. She didn't follow him up the mountain but charged down the mountain at full speed. Wang Lin's expression remained the same and he moved forward. As for Li Yuan, he didn't mind Ji Hong leaving. He continued to walk forward without turning back or stopping. Brother Shu must have a lot of doubts, but please don't ask. When we reach the peak, I'll naturally tell you. Even I'm a bit fuzzy on the matter. Li Yuan's voice was a bit strange. Wang Lin didn't speak as he walked toward the peak with Li Yuan. Along the way, all of the restrictions were cracked with a wave of Li Yuan's hand. The restrictions he used got more and more complex, and they caused the mountain to shrink more and more. Every time the mountain shrank, the peak became closer. Eventually, the mountain shrank enough that the peak was in sight. There was a huge, stone statue on the top of the mountain. This was a sculpture of a middle-aged man, and beside him was a flying sword. There was a person standing at the tip of the sword. When he saw the stone statue, Li Yuan became excited and subconsciously sped up. He dashed forward and arrived next to the statue in the blink of an eye. Standing before the 100-foot-tall stone statue, his eyes were filled with sadness. Wang Lin also arrived at the top of the mountain and looked at the stone statue. There was a natural feeling coming from the stone statue, and it gave off a sense of majesty. It also gave off a hint of restriction. In particular, this statue's right hand formed a seemingly simple seal, but upon closer inspection, it was shockingly complex. When Wang Lin's gaze fell on it, his mind trembled. It was as if there was a mysterious power trying to pull out his soul. Countless whistles of swords entered his ears and his vision became blurry. He looked around and saw countless celestials holding various weapons. They were charging into the sky to battle the heavens. These celestials gave off flashes of thunder. When they raised their hands, they released powerful bolts of thunder that charged into the sky. But the sky was completely empty. There were no enemies fighting these celestials, but there were celestials exploding one by one. This strange scene shocked Wang Lin's mind. At this moment, a celestial flew out from the pack. His sword was covered in purple thunder and there was a person standing on the hilt. This person was the same person as the stone statue. There was also a person on the sword tip, but this person didn't resemble Li Yuan at all. When the sword charged out, all of the celestials scattered. It gave off a sword energy that caused Wang Lin's soul to tremble from just a glance and charged into the sky. During that instant, he seemed to heard a quiet cry in this silent illusion. As long as I'm alive, the soul won't die. The moment this voice came, the man standing on the hilt of the sword collapsed, leaving behind the servant standing at the tip of the sword. He was staring at the empty hilt. An extreme sense of sadness came from the servant's eyes. It was as if the master on the sword hilt was his sky. Now the sky had collapsed and there was no one on the hilt. From then on, there was only him and the sword left in this world. There was only emptiness above the hilt of the sword. He looked up at the sky with the will to die. He stepped on the tip of the sword and, following his master's footsteps, he charged into the sky. When the master dies, the servant follows. The person standing at the tip of the sword charged into the sky. A soft wind blew by the person, causing his body to tremble. Then he suddenly collapsed and fell to the ground. The sword seemed to let out a cry of sorrow as it fell from the sky and stabbed into the top of the mountain. There was a ripple and then a large chunk of the mountain fell off. A large amount of shattered rocks gathered around the sword, and in the blink of an eye, the sword turned into a stone statue. Beside it, a statue of its owner also appeared. The figure of the servant at the tip of the sword slowly formed as the shattered stones gathered. These stone statues were very rough-looking, but as time passed, they became more and more distinct, as if they were gaining spirit. The seal from the stone statue had occupied Wang Lin's mind. The seal emitted a powerful light in his eyes. It was as if the statue was coming to life and the stone eyes had begun to show intelligence. Future generations with my bloodline, release the restriction and let me awaken. If you don't have enough power, then remember this for future generations. The moment that sentence appeared, the imprint that occupied Wang Lin's mind wanted to take root and brand itself onto Wang Lin. Luckily, the intense pain from Wang Lin's body stimulated his mind and shocked him out of it. He immediately retreated a few steps and closed his eyes to sober up. At the same time, the power burning his body filled his whole body and dispersed the imprint in his mind. The moment he became sober, Wang Lin opened his eyes, and they were filled with aghast. He took a deep breath and retreated several more steps. This stone statue was simply too strange, but thanks to his 1,000 years of cultivation, he was able to take some guesses. The seal from the statue was obviously a celestial spell, and it was some kind of inheritance. However, what it passed down wasn't power, but a slave imprint that lasted for generations. However, no spell in the world could escape the passage of time. This celestial spell might have been extremely powerful before, but as time passed, it became weaker and weaker. Even so, if Wang Lin's body wasn't burning, it would have been hard for him to fully awaken. However, what confused Wang Lin was that the collapse of the imprint wasn't because of the burning force. Although the burning force helped push it to collapse, the source of the collapse was the imprint itself. Li Yuan looked at the stone statue and softly said, "Did you feel it? Brother Shu can rest assured, that imprint will not enslave you and will dissipate. Because it has already imprinted on someone. My ancestors came here a long time ago and broke the restriction with their methods to arrive at the top of the mountain. From then on, they became slaves to this celestial. The following generations of descendants of my ancestors also had the slave imprint." Li Yuan looked at the statue. It was as if he was muttering but also speaking to Wang Lin at the same time. Li Yuan softly said, "The statue of the celestial can't be broken." He lifted his right hand and pressed down on the statue. The celestial spiritual energy in his body surged out and countless cracks appeared on the statue. The cracks climbed all over the statue like centipedes. In an instant, the stone statue collapsed into countless pieces. However, The moment it collapsed, those shattered pieces reformed once more and it was back to normal in an instant. Brother Shu, you saw. Li Yuan turned around and looked at Wang Lin. Wang Lin's expression was serious as he nodded. Li Yuan let out a bitter sigh and slowly said, "A long time ago, my Li family was famous in the All-Heaven star system as one of the 6 ancient cultivation families. The family cultivated the Tao of restriction. Every generation, there were people who broke through the first step of cultivation into the second step. The Li family from back then was at the zenith. However, after my family's ancestors entered this place, no one in the future generations was able to break through the first step of cultivation. The peak of the late stage of ascendant was the limit. It was as if the potential of the family members were slowly sucked away at birth. In addition, even our lifespans slowly disappeared. In the same cultivation realm, my Li family members' lifespan is only 30% of others. All of this is because of the slave imprint." Li Yuan suddenly turned around and stared at the statue with monstrous hatred in his eyes. The hatred was immediately replaced by melancholy, and Li Yuan's face began to struggle. Wang Lin's eyes were calm. He stood on the side and silently pondered. Shortly after, it seemed as if Li Yuan's body had been standing under rain, as his clothes were completely soaked in sweat. It was as if he had suddenly become a lot older in an instant. His hand formed many brandings and he placed them between his eyebrows. Each branding was formed by countless restrictions, and as they imprinted between his eyebrows, his eyes slowly regained clarity. Li Yuan let out a mouthful of foul air and bitterly said, "Brother Shu, when I get too emotional, it becomes hard to control the slave imprint. Over the countless years it was because of this slave imprint that my Li family gradually declined. The clan members died one by one and their cultivations we stuck at the first step. They slowly lost the glory of the past. Until tens of thousands of years ago, my Li family had an incomparable genius. He had talent far greater than all the ancestors. He had a terrifying comprehension of restrictions. If it was before my Li family was branded with the slave imprint, he would have become the strongest person in my Li family. Although this ancestor's cultivation was stuck at the peak of the late stage of ascendant, his control over restrictions made it so that not even second-step cultivators would carelessly provoke him. In order to break the slave imprint on my Li family, he used his limited lifespan and left the All-Heaven star system. He traveled to visit experts on restrictions in hopes of finding a method to break the imprint. In the Alliance star system, he traded his restrictions for a scroll from a powerful cultivator. In the Cloud Dust star system under the Wind celestial realm, he traded the family's savings for a compass. Before his lifespan was about to end, he returned to the All-Heaven star system and came back to the Li family. Half of the remaining Li family members voluntarily gave up their lives and used their souls to imitate the soul of the Celestial to refine an iron sword. He used the iron sword to gather the souls, then condensed them with the compass, and finally sealed them with the scroll. When that ancestor's lifespan was about to end, the Thunder Celestial realm opened. He took the 3 treasures along with all of my Li family's hopes into the Thunder Celestial realm. Unfortunately, there were no more news from the ancestor. From then on, my Li family fell into despair and declined even more. The family members died one by one. The slave imprint was like a curse that last reincarnation cycle after reincarnation cycle, and my Li family could never escape. To this day, including me, my Li family only has 3 people. Li Yuan's voice was filled with sorrow. He suddenly turned and gloomily said, "It wasn't until 1,000 years ago that my father saw the iron sword by chance at a remote cultivation planet. If that was all, it wouldn't have been much. After all, it had been too long, and we had no way to judge if it was something that belonged to our ancestor. But this iron sword was refined by half of the souls of my family. My father was able to see the anger and grievance of my family members at a glance." Li Yuan's right hand reached out, and after creating a flash of light, a vortex appeared. As the vortex rotated, Ji Hong appeared with a terrified expression. To her horror, her body was dragged out of the vortex and thrown to the foot of the statue. The family that owned the iron sword had the surname Ji. Li Yuan's eyes became vicious and were filled with hatred. If it was in the old days, when my Li family was still strong, Destroying something like the GE family would only take but a flick of my finger. However, now my Li family's cultivation is stuck at the peak of the late stage of ascendant, and even with the help of restrictions, we can't beat the GE family, which has 2 second step cultivators. Several years later, I went out in disguise and entered the GE family. I found out about everything. Li Yuan bitterly looked up at the sky. The GE family already knew of my identity since a long time ago. However, they said nothing about the past and sent me to the Thunder Celestial Realm along with Ji Hong and the 3 treasures. Even though they didn't say anything, I could have guessed what happened back then, given my intelligence. Li Yuan's eyes became vicious as he stared at Ji Hong and slowly said, "Today I came to complete the wishes of my ancestor, but before this, I need your blood to appease the tens of thousands of years of despair that my Li family ancestors have suffered." When Li Yuan said this, his right hand reached out and immediately grabbed Ji Hong. His hand held her forehead and her eyes were filled with despair. She wanted to say something, but in the end, she didn't speak. Wang Lin frowned and slowly said, "Fellow cultivator Li, the matter between your Li family and the GE family have nothing to do with me. Why did you bother bringing me here?" Li Yuan turned around toward Wang Lin and calmly said, "I saw Brother Shu's battle with that illusory yin cultivator through my restrictions. One of Brother Shu's spells is very useful to me. Brother Shu can relax, I will not ask you to help for nothing. After this matter is complete, I'll give you the complete 18 plum restriction along with my family's annihilation restriction as compensation. Now, I ask Brother Shu to not be impatient, as I must first offer sacrifice to my family's souls." Li Yuan's eyes were filled with deep hatred as celestial spiritual energy surged out from his body and rushed into Ji Hong like a raging dragon. The woman revealed a bitter expression, but her eyes were extremely clear. She struggled to look back at the stone statue, and after taking one look, she suddenly understood something. She opened her mouth to say something, but in the end she never got the chance. Her body exploded into a mist of blood and covered the stone statue. Her origin soul was absorbed by the statue and disappeared. Li Yuan silently pondered as he looked down at his hand with a confused expression. After a long time, he let out a sigh and said, with an ancient tone, "Ancestor, your family member, Li Yuan, will finish what you started." The wind blew by and dissipated all the blood mist. Wang Lin calmly watched all of this. This had nothing to do with him, so he naturally wouldn't have tried to help. Moreover, even if he wasn't here, Ji Hong's fate was sealed from the moment they stepped into the Thunder Celestial Realm. This Li Yuan's scheme runs deep. If what he said is true, then the way he endured being next to Ji Hong the whole way can be considered terrifying. Only after arriving at the mountain did he finally spill everything, and only because this mountain was filled with restrictions. It seems this restriction has a lot to do with his ancestors. However, I haven't confirmed if everything he said is true. Wang Lin calmly looked at Li Yuan. His calmness showed no sign of joy or anger, making it impossible to see through what he was thinking. However, Ji Hong's eyes were a bit strange. Why did she want to turn around to look at the stone statue before her death? Li Yuan took a deep breath before he turned to Wang Lin and calmly said, "Brother Shu, my restrictions can't compare to my ancestors. What I need from Brother Shu is the spell that allowed you to stop the illusory yin cultivator from escaping." Wang Lin's expression was normal, but his thoughts moved. From this, he would determine if Li Yuan had really witnessed his battle against the illusory yin cultivator and saw him use the stop spell. In my entire life, that was the first time I saw a spell like Brother Shu's. That spell is very powerful and can be considered unsurpassable. All things freeze at that moment. With Brother Shu's help, I'm confident I can break the stone statue completely and restore my Li family's freedom. I offer the annihilation restriction and the 18 plum restriction as compensation. Wang Lin calmly looked at Li Yuan. If this matter was as simple as what Li Yuan said, then it wouldn't be a problem lending a hand. Forgetting the annihilation restriction, just the complete 18 plum restriction would increase his power greatly. There were even parts of it that could be used to enhance his spells. As he pondered, Wang Lin looked at the stone statue. He only took a quick look while avoiding the hand print and then quickly withdrew his gaze. He seemed to vaguely notice something. The appearance of the celestial seemed somewhat similar to Ji Hong. Brother Shu, my cultivation can't match yours. Even with the restrictions, I can't match you, let alone that sword energy, so why do you still doubt me? Forget it, in order to show my sincerity, I'll give you the complete 18-plum restriction. After the seal is broken, I'll give Brother Shu the annihilation restriction. Li Yuan's voice was filled with sincerity as he looked at Wang Lin. Wang Lin showed no expression, but he nodded. Li Yuan took out a piece of jade without any hesitation. After imprinting on it, he threw it toward Wang Lin. What was inside were the remaining 5 statues. After looking at it, he put it inside his bag and slowly said, I can help. Although he said this, Wang Lin became even more cautious. He felt like there was something wrong. Although Li Yuan seemed to have said everything, Wang Lin felt like Li Yuan was still shrouded in a layer of fog. Wang Lin coldly snorted in his heart. I want to see what exactly this Li Yuan is planning. Li Yuan revealed a joyous expression. He then took a deep breath and slapped his bag of holding, causing the iron sword to fly out. While holding the iron sword in his right hand, his left hand gently stroked the iron sword. A stream of blood immediately flowed down from the sword's body, emitting a red, demonic glow. Li Yuan muttered to himself, but Wang Lin couldn't clearly hear what he said. Li Yuan kept muttering, and then a powerful resentment aura came from the iron sword. It was not a single strand of resentment, but many fused into one. A red flame burst forth from the iron sword. Inside the red flame, the strands of resentment turned into various human faces that constantly changed. There was a similar branding between the eyebrows of every single face. As the faces changed, this scene started to look extremely strange. Just at this moment, Li Yuan bit the tip of his tongue and spat blood into the red flame. The red flame absorbed the blood and suddenly grew. Bursts of ghostly wails started coming from inside the red flame, and they surrounded the area. The entire mountain was shrouded in these ghostly wails. Li Yuan's expression was lit up by this red flame, and it gave off a fierce feeling. He touched his bag of holding and the compass flew out. The moment the compass appeared, Li Yuan threw it into the red flame. When the compass was thrown into the flame, its pointer was started spinning rapidly. Each turn caused a ripple to spread inside the red flame and diffuse outward. This allowed the red flame to quickly spread outward. In the blink of an eye, the red flame from the iron sword became dozens of feet tall. It was as if it wanted to fly into the sky and give off a constant red light. The red flame flickered violently and then the compass inside shattered. The moment the compass shattered, the red flame became more intense. After that, it was the iron sword that collapsed. It turned into molten iron that was absorbed by the red flame, causing it to grow even more. The red flame was now more than 100 feet tall, and it pounced on the stone statue. The red flame suddenly surrounded the stone statue. Even the statue of the sword and the servant was surrounded in the red flame. The stone statue seemed to be refined when the resentment inside the red flame entered the stone statue. Cracks gradually appeared on the statue, and more appeared as if it was about to collapse. Li Yuan's eyes glowed as he slapped his bag of holding and a jade bottle immediately appeared. He threw the jade bottle and strands of white light flew out into the red flame. The strands of white light entered between the cracks of the statue. More and more cracks appeared on the statue and the statue crackled endlessly. As the white light and resentment entered the statue, it was as if something inside it was awakening. Just at this moment, Li Yuan took a deep breath, and without any hesitation, he took out the last treasure from his bag of holding, the scroll. The scroll suddenly opened, and at the moment the painting appeared, the statue surrounded by the red flames suddenly trembled and the feeling of something awakening became even stronger. Li Yuan shouted, Brother Shu, use the spell and let me seal the remnants of the immortal soul inside the stone statue. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he sneered. Not only did he not use the spell, he quickly retreated. He was almost able to see the true karmic cause and karmic effect behind this matter. Wang Lin's retreat caused Li Yuan's head to suddenly turn and look at Wang Lin. He revealed a fierce expression and shouted, Fellow cultivator Shu, if you don't act now, when will you? At this moment, even more cracks appeared on the statue, and it even showed signs of collapsing. The feeling of something awakening became even stronger. A majority of the resentment inside the red flame had been absorbed, and all of the white light was also absorbed by the stone statue. This resentment and white light were like nutrients that gave the statue the power to break free. However, there was also a seal preventing the soul from escaping. The seal wanted the soul to collapse with it. Wang Lin retreated even faster and retreated 1,000 feet in an instant. Li Yuan's eyes became cold and his cultivation exploded like crazy. Although his cultivation was still at the peak of the late stage of Ascendant, there was a terrifying aura within him. His charge was like teleportation, allowing him to directly catch up to Wang Lin, and he shouted, "Fellow cultivator Shu, why are you retreating? Fellow cultivator Li's story is very beautiful, but I fear your purpose is not to break the Li family's seal but to revive the celestial statue." As Wang Lin retreated, the shadow behind him flickered. The celestial guard stepped out and threw a punch at Li Yuan. There was a huge bang followed by this punch, and its momentum was shocking. Li Yuan sneered and revealed a hint of contempt. His hand formed a seal and he waved it, causing a black line to appear. The black line expanded and formed a triangle. As the punch closed in, the triangle flashed and appeared before the celestial guard's fist. In an instant, the triangle expanded rapidly and made contact with the celestial guard's first. Then it spread across the celestial guard's fist like a flexible cord. In the blink of an eye, it wrapped itself tightly around the celestial guard. At this moment, the celestial guard was wrapped tightly by this triangle that gave off bursts of black light. No matter how hard the celestial guard struggled, it was useless. A mere low-grade celestial guard dares to act presumptuous before me. Li Yuan's laughter was shocking. However, Wang Lin's expression remained neutral, and he gently said, "You were indeed lying before." Li Yuan looked at Wang Lin and slowly said, "I don't want to attack you. Now, obediently go back with me and use the stop spell you inherited from the Rain Celestial Realm. Once this matter is complete, I won't be cheap with your reward." Wang Lin faintly smiled and shook his head. "You even dared to kill the descendant of your master. How can I believe you?" After his remark, Wang Lin immediately retreated and rushed away from his place. Li Yuan's eyes shined brightly. He charged out and slowly said, "It seems I really underestimated you. But you can't run away from me." As Li Yuan spoke, he waved his hand and a restriction flew out from between his eyebrows. The clouds in the sky suddenly opened, and in the distance, the space distorted and then Wang Lin appeared. After being forced to appear, Wang Lin showed no signs of panic, as if he had already planned everything. At this moment in the center fragment of the Thunder Celestial Realm. This fragment was not big, so the landmass was naturally smaller. Thunder-like iron bars surrounded the edge of this fragment. There was a huge formation at the center of this fragment, and 4 elders were sitting there. Each one of the elders had white hair, but their bodies were gaining large amounts of origin energy. The formation suddenly flashed violently, but the 4 elders didn't budge at all, not even their eyelids twitched. A moment later, a shadow appeared inside the formation. This shadow became red, and soon, a powerful blood aura diffused across the aura. The 4 elders opened their eyes and revealed serious expressions. "Junior Wang Lin, this old man has arrived." The shadow condensed to form a middle-aged man wearing a red robe with red hair and red eyebrows. Blood ancestor. This video will end here.